Hey, Luthix here with thoughts on the weapons tuning update that 343 recently dropped into Halo 5. 343 made a ton of changes, but the first thing I'd like to talk about is BR starts. The changes to the BR does make BR starts more viable, but I feel like the default Magnum is just way too perfect to switch from now. I really think that we should keep Magnum starts for the HCS, and we should tune the BR as a pickup weapon or maybe a starting weapon for other ranked playlists. So what did 343 change with the BR? The one thing that 343 really messed up with the changes to the BR was adding random spread, and also making the BR projectile. I'm not really sure if they actually made the BR projectile, but it seems like from my gameplay and from watching streamers gameplay, there's a bigger delay in the hit markers when it comes to shooting people with the BR, and I think that's because they actually made a projectile instead of hit scan. The random spread added to the BR makes it totally unreliable, but when the shots do land where I expect them to, the BR feels so much more rewarding and skillful to use than the one before it. And I really think that 343 did a good job with these changes. So really all 343 has to do is remove the random spread from the BR, change it to something that is more perfect, straight, and vertical, and also remove the fact that it seems to be projectile. The gunfighter Magnum was a secondary spawn weapon in the tuning playlist. The gunfighter Magnum was completely useless on its own. 343 nerfed the gunfighter Magnum by adding this insanely high recoil that you really can't find in Halo 5, or even any other Halo for that matter. So what 343 needs to do is change back the insanely high recoil so that's more reliable in close range encounters, and tune the fire rate so that it's in a better spot. The next weapon that got changed was the DMR. It felt a lot harder to use at close range, but it also felt easier to use at longer ranges. I feel like they added a lot more aim assist at longer ranges while scoped in, but also took away quite a bit of aim assist when in close to medium range encounters, and it feels more like a side grade now rather than a direct upgrade over the pistol. I feel like the carbine got nerfed quite a bit with a slower rate of fire and a lower range as well, which does make it less oppressive at longer ranges. But one bad change that 343 added was the random spread to the carbine, which is not something that you should find in Halo. Again, random spread makes the carbine less reliable, and sometimes getting kills with it makes me feel like I'm more lucky rather than skilled. So again, remove the random spread from the carbine, and I think that 343 should also dial back the carbine nerfs a little bit. Right now it feels a little bit too weak, and if they can find a sweet spot between the old carbine and the new carbine while also removing random spread, I feel like carbine will be in a much better spot than before. Next up are autos. Let's talk about the AR first. The AR got nerfed to the point where I feel like I would rather still be using the BR to kill someone at close range, but also not to the point where I felt like the AR was completely useless, which is a good spot for the AR to be in my opinion. It's also viable now to burst fire the AR, and when dueling with the AR I felt like I had to release and press the trigger again rather than just holding it down and spraying and praying. The SMG on the other hand is still a melt machine. It absolutely ices people at close range. But that's the thing, you have to be really close to the SMG now if you still want to deal damage, which is a good change. The SMG is still very powerful, but you have to be more up close and personal if you want to kill anything with it. Overall, I like the changes made to the autos, but my only gripe is that I still do not think they should be added to the HCS. Next up is the energy sword. The change made to it is pretty simple. You no longer have extra movement speed when you have it equipped, which I think is a good change for the HCS, because teams are running flags with it way too quickly, which is something that 343 recognized and addressed with this change. The next weapon to get nerfed is the fuel rod. The immediate change that I noticed is that it has a slower rate of fire, and also a smaller blast radius on the projectiles. I don't have much of an opinion on this nerf, mostly because I don't play Warzone, and also you don't see the fuel rod in the HCS. The one thing I can comment about though is that the fuel rod still has a weird reload. As you can see in the top right, when you're reloading, the ammo actually refreshes before the Spartan puts more ammo into the fuel rod, which is a minor gripe to be sure, but I feel like 343 has a good opportunity to address this issue with this tuning update. Next up is the beam rifle. I feel like the beam rifle probably has the smallest change out of the bunch, but it's also the safest change that 343 has done. 343 basically made it harder to snapshot with the beam rifle. I'll admit, I wasn't able to test this change, but if it was the same update applied to the sniper rifle, then I think it's a good change. Snapshotting with the sniper rifle at launch was way too easy, but after the changes made to the sniper rifle, snapshots were a lot harder, but it was still fun, doable, and rewarding. The next weapon, which is the railgun, has a change that I'm pretty sure everyone felt straight away. The railgun has a much longer charge time than before. In fact, I would say it takes a little bit too long to charge now. It just feels way too weak with how long you have to charge it. Although if 343 does still want to nerf the charge time, I feel like they should try and find a middle ground between the old railgun and the new railgun. But I have a different suggestion. If 343 wants to make the railgun a more proactive weapon rather than a reactive weapon, they can try and make it so that it has a long charge time, but using smart scope makes the railgun charge a lot faster. This means that you have to put yourself in a good position to use the railgun like a sniper rifle. The last weapon, which is the grenade launcher, was so much more easier to use. The grenades felt like they were more bouncy, and I was able to get them around corners and basically where I want them to be. Overall, the grenade launcher is a lot stronger as a power weapon, but I think that now it's a bit too strong to be a tier 2 weapon, and I think that 343 should make it a tier 3 weapon and put it on a weapon pad when putting in any game types. The last item to get changed is active camo, and this is the only item that actually got buffed. They made it so active camo is more invisible now, and I think this is a good change because it makes camo more reliable and it makes it more consistent since you are less likely to be seen because of the camo's particle effects. and you feel more empowered to make sneaky plays. In conclusion, I like mostly where things are going. I think it's good that 343 is making some of the weapons harder to use, but I hope they reconsider adding random spread and recoil to the weapons. Also, they shouldn't make any radical changes to the HCS, like adding autos and changing the starting weapons. If 343 also takes the community suggestions into mind, I feel like they can really make the Halo 5 sandbox more refined. Thanks for watching, Colbark, out.
Obvious proficiency. Scope exclusion.
You're almost dry.